Welcome everyone to our Circle and Salve Women. Today we have the honor of speaking to Frances Tanielu, who is now a new homeowner. Her story will empower anyone who's ever contemplated of thinking of buying a home, owning a home, getting those keys to call your own. Today will be the day for you to listen in and empower yourself to know that if she can, you can as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I am excited to ask you questions, Frances. First one, what drove you to want to own a home?
So it was always my parents' dream to have their own home.
Mm-hmm.
And with my dad's condition, they weren't able to do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So they've always pushed me to want that for myself, but also provide it for them.
That is so nice. And when you say dad's condition, could you give us some light on that?
So he has always had health problems when I was growing up. But in 2016, he got into like a car accident that made him paraplegic from the neck down. So he's in a wheelchair. He's wheelchair bound for probably the rest of
Wow. How old were you when that happened?
So it's 2016. It's like 4 years ago. So
Okay,
just
gotcha.
before
Wow.
I was 30.
That is such a commitment on your part. Wow, your parents have got to be so proud of you. Now, did you have any doubts though of buying a home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. What kind of doubts?
Can I do it?
Yeah.
By myself?
My goodness.
You
Yeah.
know? So, because I am providing for them and also
sure.
for my son. So it's a big commitment.
Right. And you have one son, right? Okay. And so you had to think about not just for yourself, but everybody.
Right.
And so what do you think placed those doubts in your mind at that time?
There wasn't anyone around for me to mentor me through it. So everything was, I had to self-learn. And I guess I would say I wouldn't say I didn't have the support, but I just didn't have the confirmation that I could do it.
Right,
you
the
know?
reassurance.
The reassurance, yeah.
Right. And you know what? You're not alone in that, because being a minority, we really have got to start ourselves with our own thoughts and our own perseverance and our own drive. And it's great that you mentioned that, because a lot of people who are listening are probably thinking the same thing, like, yeah, you know, I want to own a home, and yet I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. So how did you start to plan to buy a home then?
I did a lot of research.
Okay, and when you say research, we're talking about social media. Were you talking to people?
So mostly social media. There's this group I found on Facebook called Credit Warriors.
Okay.
And they provided like a really easy to read handbook for anybody who.
That is so helpful. Yeah. Wow. So was it a book?
So it was a handbook.
Okay.
But the page on Facebook, it was just a bunch of people who are going through the same things that I'm going through. Probably not the same situations, but are wanting to buy a home or fix their credit.
Yeah.
So just reading through like their situations and what happened to them, what they did, and then just Googling like any and all the questions I had.
Yeah, no, and you know what? That is a really good way of just going about it, because if you don't have anyone, then you might as well seek for that information, and that is so nice to have those resources out there. And so what were some of the things that started to build your confidence then as you were researching? Oh, wow, you know, what were some of the findings that you had so that you started to get to that part of, let me start planning then?
So one of the first steps in this handbook was just pulling your credit and seeing where you were credit-wise, and then pulling your finances. And then, so once I did that and I actually saw where I was, like where I could go with it, I wasn't in a bad spot. So that was like, oh, okay, maybe, you know.
Isn't that such a great fear factor though? Because unless you actually find out, you actually think, no, there's no way I could buy a home. And many people, many years, are staying in a rental home or a rental apartment for so long, not realizing you could have been paying for a home all this time. Wow.
Yeah. So like, this wasn't my first time actually trying for a home.
Okay.
So I was younger, and it was just I did it because I just wanted to know, and I went in with no information, and that's, you know, I was like, oh, maybe you're not ready for it, and that was really like,
well, yeah,
it sucked to hear that.
Yeah, no, my goodness, yeah.
So I was more prepared.
Right.
So just
yeah.
just had,
But that is such a drive for you because, you know, we get so easily discouraged, especially when it comes to something big like this. This is not just, oh, I'm going to buy a car. I mean, you know, it's a big step because you're involving everyone in your family into this, and they all have to commit to your dream, your hopes, and your aspirations. Like, we're going to do this. And when you say we, it's really you who's the forerunner. You're the one who's making all the plans, and you're going to take them along with you. So then what did you do to get your mind right away? Like, okay, this obviously is my second time, which is awesome because you had that moment to kind of like, oh, let me just, you know, kind of ease into thinking again that, yes, I can do this. So you had to build your confidence again, right? And so what did you do? What did you have to do mentally to get yourself into that again?
I think just going, like I couldn't stop. Like if this was something I wanted to commit to, I need to like stay on top of it.
Right.
And not just dab and then, oh, maybe not right now.
Yep. Yeah.
So just committing to wanting this was the first step for me.
And so what was that first step? You know, because a lot of people go, okay, so I want to buy a home. What's my first step?
Oh, like I said, I did a lot of information pulling and researching, and then I pulled my credit, my finances, and figured out where I was, and then reaching out to a loan.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm going to ask you that question later about like, what are those myths? Some people think, I had bad credit. No, I'm never going to be able to buy anything. And yet people don't understand that definition of what is bad credit or what is good credit. You know, we all want that 800 or so, right? Yeah. And it'd be great, but at the same time, and we can all reach for that, at the same time, just because you don't have that doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
So that'll be a really good one to ask you later on. It's like, what are these myths that you think are holding other people back? But in your case, so you figured out, hey, I can do this. You know, you're looking at your credit score, you're looking at your finances. So then, if you could keep it simple for those who want to buy a home, what do you think those steps were then after you found, let's just say that was your first step, right? I would think your first step is, I want to buy a home. You have to commit no matter what, this is going to happen. You figure out your credit score and your finances, then what? Like, what would be the steps to follow till you get to turn that key into your home? What steps did you do?
So if there are some things on your credit report that you felt like, ooh, I need to fix that before going in. So the research comes into it a lot because they tell you on this website, like, if you have this and such, you should probably look into that before you actually apply because that might be a big factor. Yeah. So just making sure that was clean. And then I looked at different programs, like the first time Homeowners program.
Wow. Yeah.
And then seeing what that program provided for me and my family. Yeah. And found the one that was perfect. And then again, and so I applied for a loan. And then that process it was a lengthy process. They wanted your whole life, like all of your information. And then from there.
So when you say lengthy, like, how long did it take you? Were they interviewing you? Did you have to fill out some documentation first? I mean, would you say that it could have been discouraging to anyone, you know, who was going through it?
Yeah.
Okay, because how long did it take you?
So from the time I submitted my application to them saying, oh, you're approved for this much amount, maybe like a month. Wow. And it was just back and forth of like, we need this. Oh, they're asking for this. We need this documentation. So it could be it could have been very discouraging for you, but because you made that commitment, that is good to know for people who don't realize that
every blessing, every glory, right, requires sacrifice. And you could have easily said, well, this is just way too much out of me. And you're working, you've got a child, you've taken care of your parents, you're doing all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you have to go, what? You want me to do this? And they're basically telling you what you need to do to fulfill the requirements. And so you had to do it mostly on your own, right? Wow. Okay. Okay. And so then what did you do once you fill out, which is great. Would you say that this is, there are many programs out there for anybody that is saying, I want to, you know, be able to buy a home? Would you say that if you just did your part, you could actually find, you know, where you fit in, right?
And there's programs for like where you currently live, so King County, Pierce. So there's programs out there that can help you. Wow, for sure.
Okay, and so you found out where you fit in. You did all your documentation. And then when did you know that you were going to move on to another step once they said, okay, this is where you're at this time? Did you have to go in for an interview, talk to someone? What happened?
No, so it's COVID. So everything was over email, phone calls. So when I finally got that phone call that, hey, you're approved for this much.
Wow.
Do you have a realtor that you're working with? And I was like, no, I guess I didn't really
think about that.
I've been really stressed about this process.
Right.
So they recommended somebody, which they were great.
Good.
And they worked with me. So I got my.
Were you scared at first? Like, I don't know this person. Okay, yeah.
Like, what are they? What's the, you know?
Yeah, it's okay to be skeptical, right? Because you're getting into something big. Did your realtor start asking you questions? What were some of those questions? And were you making preparations onto what your expectations were of the realtor as well?
Yeah, so we had a phone call, like intake kind of thing. And she started asking questions like, so what are you looking for? You know, what kind of home, which area? And my answer was very simple. It was just, I just need a home that's suitable for myself and my family.
Right.
And I didn't realize how detailed you'd have to be. Like, how many rooms do you want? Do you want a backyard? Do you want a split level? Are you looking for hard floors, carpet?
That is so important for people to understand, because you could be coming from a background where you just want to go into a home to say it's yours, but you don't realize what you're getting yourself into. That's wow, that's good to mention. So then you realize, oh my goodness, I never thought of that. So then what were some of your specifications that you had to create as a list? And that obviously is an important step, right? Know what you're getting into, but know also what you want.
Right, and what I need.
And what you need, yes, because, you know, mentioning that dad has certain needs as well, you had to have taken that into accountability as well. Like, these are the things that need to be required in a home that I'm going to get myself into. Okay, so what were some of those?
So we kind of just chose a house in Federal Way, and it was our first home. And as soon as we walked in, it was not suitable. And I started making a mental checklist. Like, so there's stairs, can't have stairs. There isn't a room on the bottom floor for him, so that was another thing. Easy access for him. So all of my needs kind of revolved around him. Then also my son, you know, so I was looking for a nice neighborhood, a good school,
good for
a backyard, you know. So it was just taking them into account.
But that's big. I mean, it's not something that you just go, oh, we'll work it out, you know? So, I mean, those are things that when you walk into a first, so was that like the first home that you visited, and at first you were excited, like, this could be it, because it looks so pretty on the outside. And then the reality struck, it's like, but it's not for me though.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many homes did you actually look at until you were like, you know, so did you go home and make that list right away, or a mental list? And then eventually, now that you knew, you were able to filter some of those other homes?
It was a mental list, but like each home I went into, there was always something that I had added on to it. Like, oh, I didn't think about this, so
Right.
I'm going to add it on to my list.
Right.
So we probably looked at 10 homes.
Okay.
And I had made an offer on a couple. But yeah.
Okay. And that was okay, right? Because then you knew as time progressed that it's like, okay, I'm starting to look at this one. And then you started to become more detail oriented to the things that you were looking for. And so when you say you made an offer to a home, and was there a time that you got denied? That's real, you know, it's so real. And so, you know, there are stories where people could tell you where, yeah, you got denied, but when you look back, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And then you look back and go, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people get easily discouraged and go, oh my goodness, I didn't get that. I guess I'm not meant to have one. Let's just continue to do what we do. And yet you persevered. So good for you. And so when you then got approved for this home, how long did that take?
I would say about another 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Okay. So you then said, okay, this is the one I want. And then you did all that was necessary to get this home. What preparations did you have, and what are some things that people who've never bought a home had to do? I mean, were there any inspections? Did you have to talk to anyone? What's the procedure there?
Yeah, so once you get approved, there are steps after that to kind of secure the home. So there was an inspection, which I was really nervous about.
For sure.
Because I didn't know a whole bunch about anything about
and that's okay.
How
you know. Did you have to research that and ask people? Okay.
Yeah,
like what do you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the realtor was really nice or really helpful because she had one that they worked with directly, and she kind of just took care of everything. She was really great with that. So she had already an inspector they work with, so she called them, she set up everything, so that took away that stressor, but it was just what are they going to find in this home?
Yes, because you really wanted it, and you just wanted everything to go smooth,
and I was accepted, like my
my
offer wasn't rejected,
right,
so a big step. So she set that up, and then I think it was a couple days after they accepted my offer, and so they inspected the home, and nothing came up crazy. It was just like more of safety things that they were concerned about.
Okay.
And then there was paperwork with the loan people. They asked for more information, and they also gave me a whole list of things to not do. Like
That's
spend
good.
money. Or,
because you're still making this happen right now. Okay, that's good advice. Would you say it's really important to have a good realtor? I mean, obviously they were the one who were orchestrating you to get into that home, so that dependency on a really knowledgeable realtor is important.
Yeah.
And you lucked out. You got a really good realtor who helped you through. Yes, that is awesome. And so as you're going through this, then what?
So from the time, the offer accepted to actually getting the keys, it was just kind of waiting. The inspection was done. It was great. Just waiting for them for the closing. Right.
And how long does it take for the closing?
30 days.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the end of December that we closed.
Okay. How did that feel?
It felt great, but I didn't actually. So when they called me the day before, they're like, everything is good. You're meeting escrow on this day. Go ahead and sign your papers.
And what is escrow?
So
for those of you who don't know.
They're kind of the middleman.
Gotcha.
So they work with the loan people, you, and then the buyer too, and their group. So they're kind of like, they facilitate everything.
The financial piece, right?
Financial piece.
Make sure everything goes through financially.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
So even after I signed,
were you scared
them,
still? Like even
I was like,
this?
I'm not gonna breathe, relax until I have the keys in my hand. So
absolutely, no, for sure. For any first-time homeowner, you have to definitely feel that way. So in that case, you were called and you were told, okay, everything's fine. When did you get the keys?
So it was the day after I signed
Okay.
everything, my realtor called. She's like, "Hey, everything is great. I will meet you tonight at, and to give you your keys."
Yeah.
So it was.
You're like, this is it. This is real.
Yep.
And when you turned those keys, how did you feel?
Relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when did it sink in that, no, this is it, this is mine? Because, it's just like anything in life, right? Like until you know it's really yours. How long did that take you?
Not until like weeks after. Like after we got the keys, we were moving in. It was just one thing after the other, and just getting everything in the home, cleaning our apartment. So it was probably recently that it kind of sunk in. Like, I'm a homeowner.
Wow. And did you ever feel like someone was going to say, "Oh, so sorry, there was actually a mistake"? Did you feel that way, or were you kind of like, "No, that's good for you. Good for you." You're like, "No, this is me. I've got the keys." That is great. So what were the myths that now you look back and go, "I'm a homeowner. I've got the keys to this home. I'm moving in my stuff. My family's in." Now this empowerment has sunk in, right? Like, I did this. I mean, how are you feeling now that you own a home versus when you didn't?
Proud,
Yes.
so that I was able to do this for not only for myself and my son, but my family.
They have got to be so proud of you. Absolutely. So what would you say are the myths that you had in the past that you just, if you have to tell anyone that, anyone listening, like, no, don't believe the hype, right?
Yeah. Credit is a big thing, but it's not the only thing.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
And so just not being discouraged because you have a low credit score. Because when I was reading through the Facebook group, a lot of people on there were, and this is what encouraged me, it was a lot of them on there had low scores.
Yeah.
Lower
You're like,
than
I have
mine.
that's
And
good.
I thought mine was low. So, I mean, just getting past that, I think that was the biggest myth for me.
Oh, for sure. For a lot of people, I'm certain. And what other myths can you think of?
I can't think of.
Okay. Did being a maybe single mom come into play, or were you just like
doing it by yourself?
Yeah, because you're doing this solely on your own income. Because mom and dad's income didn't take into play, right? Okay, so this was you. Oh, that is so encouraging and so inspiring. And so anything else after that? Any other myths that you think anyone probably would run into that probably would discourage anybody else from ever wanting to buy a home or ever thinking they could?
I don't know. Because, I didn't really know much before.
Right.
So everything that I did know, it has already happened with somebody else.
Yes.
And what they went through,
So then what would be your greatest advice then at this point for those people are saying, okay, so my credit's not the greatest, but you're saying I can do this. Okay, so you're saying I'm a single mom, but you're saying you did this and so can I, right? Or a single dad for that sake. So at this point, what do you then say to yourself is the best advice that you could tell someone right now that they could just today start and plan to buy a home?
Not every path is a right path. And you just have to find yours and stay with it, stay with that path and just keep going. Like there are going to be roadblocks and, bumpy roads, but just if you really want something, just stick with it and follow it through.
That is really good, Frances. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you would want to add before we end this interview?
No, just that buying a home it's a big commitment and it is a process, and it's a process that at the end will feel great. It's the best feeling to go home to your home.
Right.
So just sticking with it. And
really good. Really
I
good
was
advice.
just telling my sister that I'm so glad I was told no those 3 or 4 times.
So glad you bring that up. Yeah.
Now, like, this home is perfect.
Oh,
like, could you?
It was
imagine?
waiting for you.
Yeah.
That's
That is a good advice for people who've gotten denied. It is okay.
Yeah, it's
That
okay
is
to
totally okay.
get the no, get rejected.
Yeah,
not
totally.
meant for you.
Wasn't meant for you. That is a good way to end this. Well, thank you for your time, and I am so happy and proud of you. And I know your parents are, and I know your
Thank
child
you.
is. It's amazing, and thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for your time, Frances. It has been so nice to be able to hear from your words that even through the journey of becoming a homeowner, that you had some doubts at first, that you had some things to think through. And by you just sharing your thoughts and your journey with everyone else who may have contemplated of ever becoming a homeowner themselves, it is to my certainty that you have touched some hearts out there, or you have touched some minds and spirits out there to know that if you were able to do it, then they can too. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone who listened in today. Have a great day. In the words of my mother, God bless us all.